We need to talk.
Hey, what's going on YouTube land? It's your boy TJ and welcome to my YouTube channel, Wrestling Nostalgia, where I give my reviews on the WWE shows and PLE events. And today we are going to be reviewing NXT February 27th, 2024. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We opened up NXT with the reigning NXT World Champion. Basically calls out Carmelo and he lets it be known, you want a world championship match, you're going to have to come face to face with me. So then when he comes out, of course, he comes with security. And he says, look, I don't trust nothing in what you say until you get it in black and white. And I signed it off and everything squared away. You got me in that ring. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Ava's met with Gigi Dolan outside of her office. And she says that she want to know what's next for her as far as her future in NXT. She said, okay, come into my office and let's talk about it. So then when she comes into the office, she is met with Jada Parker. And did I tell you that she remind me of that girl off of Say the Last Dance? Yo, you cannot tell me that's not her twin. That could have been that girl's daughter. I'm not playing, yo. She looked just like her. So she come in and she said, oh, well, I was in here first. And she said, no, I was here first. So then they had banter back and forth. Ava tells Gigi and Jada that what's next for both of you is a match with the two of you later on tonight. So please escort my office one by one, though. So she said, first you, Jada. Because I guess since she was in there first, she said, then you have to leave first. So we're going to see a matchup later on tonight with those two. In this next match, it is Kalani Jordan versus Kiana James. Those names sound too similar to each other, so if it sounds like I'm saying the same name, I'm really not. It's just, their names are just so similar. That match actually was kind of relatively short, and it ran all the way through, no commercial breaks. While Kalani was like kind of getting the better of Kiana James, she basically, while the referee was distracted by Kiana, Kalani gets hit from the back and while the referee is distracted, and then Izzy gets Kalani back in the ring, and then that leaves open Kiana James hits her deal breaker, and then 1, 2, 3, she wins the match. This match was actually pretty decent. I have nothing bad to say about it. I kind of like Kalani. I actually like both of them in this match. So in this next segment, it is Roxanne, and she's backstage and she's airing out her grievances because she feels as though that she's yet again snubbed out of a women's championship match. So Jakara winds up coming out and she said, yeah, be like my girl Last Legend and stay ready so that way you won't have to get ready and all this other stuff. So Roxanne is like not having it. She is on this new heel persona. So she ends up getting into fisticuffs with Jakar, and Jakar ain't going for it. So she, you know, she hitting him back or whatever. So I guess these two are going to have a match later on tonight. So that ends that segment. And this next match is Idris and Malik versus Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. So they had a pretty standard back and forth match. Unfortunately, in the losing effort, Idris and Malik didn't come out with the victory. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson come out with the win. They hit their Magic Killer 1, 2, 3, and that ends that match. This is when Chase U, Fraser, and Exxon comes out all to gain up on Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. They all just come in the ring and beat them up, and they wind up retreating. And that ends that segment right there. But hey, that's what they get for last week, beating them up after their matches. So hey, turn around, it's fair play. In this next segment, it is Oba, and he is in the office of Ava, and he's asking her who is his next challenger going to be for his NXT North American Championship belt. So this is when Dragunov comes in the office, and then they both have a stare down. And I'm like, the match I didn't know I needed, okay? You don't want them problems, Dragunov. You strong and all, but you better lay low.
You better lay low.
So then after they have their little stare off, this is when he leaves out the office. I guess he's saying like, look, you know, I don't want no problems tonight, but every time we gonna lock it up. So that's what I gathered from that exchange. This is when Dragunov says that him and Ava needs to talk about business, and that ends that segment. In this next match, it is Roxanne Perez versus Jakara Jackson. I love Jakara Jackson. She had a really good showing in this match. I'm so glad she didn't get squashed. Only thing about it I didn't like, why did she have to tap out? She couldn't roll her up. She couldn't roll her up or something like that. Like, why my girl had to tap out? I ain't like that. I ain't like Jakara tapping out. I ain't like that. She could have hit her pop rocks and won the match. No, she's sitting up there, cross face. Like, girl, you are not Chris Benoit. Sit down. I don't care. I don't like her because she was showing off. Like, girl, we know you can wrestle. You ain't had to do my girl like that. I ain't appreciate that. I don't care. And this next match is Dijak versus Luca. I think I'm saying his name right. They had a kind of a one-sided match. It looked like Dijak was getting the better of Luca. Unfortunately, he hits his feast your eyes finisher 1, 2, 3. He ends the match, and that's that for him. In this next segment, Liv Valkyria, your reigning women's NXT champion, comes out and she says that unfortunately for Shotzi, she got injured and speedy recovery for her. And also she had to wrestle twice that night because since they were promised the NXT Women's Championship match, Last Legend came out and she wrestled her as well. And she said she gave her a fight of her life and she still got the battle wounds to prove it. And she also promised if Tatum stayed in the back, she was going to have a special surprise. So she asked her to come out. Tatum comes out looking all creepy. Like I said before, Mickie James 2.0. And I'm going to keep saying that every time she comes on my screen. That is Mickie James. And y'all are ripping her psychopathic gimmick off. Or you could call her Victoria. I don't care. They both crazy as like. She winds up coming out looking all crazy and stuff. And she all like, oh, what do you have for me? And all this other stuff. So just to wrap it up, they're going to go against the Kabuki Warriors next week at NXT Roblox for the Women's Tag Team Championships. So she's all like, oh my goodness, yeah, we're going to do it. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then this is when Ridge Hollins comes out and he basically said, hey, you know what I'm saying, excuse me, ladies, you know, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but I just need a moment in the ring. Can you excuse yourself? So then they leave. He wound up saying something about, you know, he apologized for something about what he did last week. All the vignettes that was playing throughout the NXT shows and pay-per-views of theirs basically came to fruition, and Shawn Spears was behind all those. And he comes out and he attacks Ridge Hollins, and he attacks him with a chair and he lays him out, and that ends that segment. So we're going to see, you know, what's going to come from these two. I guess they're going to be the new feud right now. So moving on. It was Lexis King versus Von Wagner. They had a pretty standard back and forth match. I'm not going to lie, it was kind of short a little bit. That's the only thing. But other than that, it wasn't a bad match. But unfortunately, in the losing effort, Lexis King actually lost this match. He got distracted by Mr. Stone. So in that distraction, he wound up getting rolled up by Von Wagner. But after he lost the match, he didn't look like the loser because he beat both Von Wagner and Stone and left out of there. I was like, wow. I couldn't believe, like, it's like this short guy, like, he reminds me of Chris Jericho. I don't care what nobody says. I'm going to keep saying that. He reminds me of Chris Jericho. He wound up rolling out there. He beat both of them up and rolled out that ring. I was like, dang. You better stop playing with that short man. You know, them short people pack a powerful punch. You better stop playing with them. In this next segment, Dijak was talking with one of the officials. And then all of a sudden, Joe Crazy comes out of nowhere, out of the sane asylum, and attacks Dijak. So I guess they're going to renew their feud at Roblox. That's what I'm guessing. In this next match, it was Heritage Cup match. So basically, Dar and Dipsy, Charlie Dipsy, I believe that's their names. They had a pretty standard back and forth match. It was a quite a few things that stood out to me. It looks like Dipsy was posed as a threat to Dar's Heritage Cup. And the way he was wrestling, he wrestled really, really good. He wrestled kind of like Kurt Angle a little bit. He was going to give me those type of vibes. He did a really, really great job. I didn't expect much from him, but he did a really fabulous job. It was a full Nelson German suplex. And when he did that, I'm like, oh my goodness. Like every time when I see that move, I always be like, oh my goodness, that looks like that really can break somebody's neck. So he got a couple of cute little roll-ups in. And then Dar, of course, being the fighting Heritage Cup beholder, he was not going down easily, but unfortunately, he has finally lost his Heritage Cup after holding it for so long. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like for a minute, like a year or so. I'm like, goodness gracious. Like, he really was not playing about that Heritage Cup. In this next segment, Shawn Spears comes out, and he basically said the truth will bring you down to your knees. I actually like Ridge Hollins, but he needs to be honest with himself, and they're going to have a match next week at Roadblocks. And this last segment, which was, I guess you could call the main event, it was Dragunov, Carmelo, and Ava in the ring, and they are at a contract signing. We all know how these contract signings end. They was going back and forth a bunch of banter. And of course, Carmelo brings his security. He says it's protection for him. No duh. Because that man really beats people down. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Like, Dragunov is really not one to sleep on. He is top tier, top notch wrestler, bar none. He kind of give me Chris Benoit vibes a little bit, far as like the wrestling technique ability, far as that aspect goes. He's ready to take back his NXT championship and all the other good stuff. For whatever reason, Tony comes out from the D'Angelo family, and he basically wants to shoot a shot at the NXT World Championship as well. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I was looking like, okay, who asked for this? Like, really, like, who asked for this? So he ends up making Melo's security leave. And I'm like, wait a minute, ain't that your friend?
Ain't that your friend? Ain't that your friend? Ain't that your friend? I know, listen to me. Ain't that your friend, Finder?
Ain't that your friend? Ain't that your friend? Go get him. Like, I'm just like flabbergasted, just end up making him leave. He basically wants a shot at the championship as well. Now we have a number one contenders match instead of a one-on-one championship match with Carmelo and Dragunov. Now it's going to be a number one contender match to see who's going to face off with Dragunov, which is going to be Tony D'Angelo versus Carmelo Hayes. And then Carmelo is heated about it. They ended up getting into like words, getting heated and going back and forth. And then this is when Carmelo winds up taking them both out and he puts Tony through the table. So we're going to see like how everything goes. This was actually an eventful NXT. I really did enjoy it. I'm so glad I actually stayed up for this one. But anywho's, comment down below and let me know how did you feel about NXT. Like, share, and subscribe, and all that other good stuff. And peace. I'm out.